Hello and welcome back to another episode of Notion Bonsai, and today we're going to be working on a big problem oak bonsai, and we're going to be giving it a first styling via pruning and wiring to set it up on its way to becoming a quite unique and nice looking tree over the next few years. So this is the great big oak that we're going to be working on today. As you can see, it is pushed out so much growth over the last year.
I got it like 3 years ago. All what I did to it is like, when I bring it over, I built a grow box because that was the idea, to just grow it out as much as possible, you know, get it like established into the pot. And as you can see, it's did the job already. I picked it up because it's really interesting, like a clump style originally at the bottom. And then after 3 years, I think it's a good time to give it some shape.
So we are here today again in Attila's garden. And as you can see already, we have called this a problem tree, because if you look down at the base here, this tree is a multi-trunk tree. So there's multiple trunks coming from the one spot. Here there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trunks. And as this is as a tree, we could simply come in and do the traditional way of creating bonsai from here, and that is just to cut this tree right back down to here, cut all the branches down, and then wait and hope that later this tree produces side branches that will then become the leader of the tree, and we can take it from there. That would be one solution to this problem tree. Today we've decided not to go that route. We want to make it look a little bit more interesting and use all this material the tree has produced to create a nice unique design from this.
I would estimate this, because as a multi-trunk tree, you see at the bottom, this could be easy 10 plus years old. Why we decided to go with it today, it's basically, if you can see, like this is last year growth, which is, you see the lignification on the branches, and this is New Year's growth. This tree is on a really healthy side, so you got already like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 pairs of leaf. So that means the tree is on the energy positive side. We're not going to go to just chop this whole tree back, and that's why it gives this problematic view to it. So let's work with what we have and then try to make it interesting instead of just chopping it back and like wait another 6 years.
When working with such large bonsai material like this one, it can be tempting to immediately settle on a front and call it a day at that, where the first angle you see the tree, you think, oh, that's the front, because it's such a handling to turn the tree because it's big and heavy. But it really is important at this stage to turn the tree at all angles. We're going to turn this one like this. So that is another possible angle for the front of this tree. This is actually the preferred angle that we've chosen. The reason why we've chosen this as the front is because at the very base of the tree, this is the angle in which the trunk looks the widest, therefore makes the tree look more powerful in the pot. And not only should you look at the rotation of a tree, you can also consider the angle. So if you wanted to angle the tree when you're planting it, you could put something like a rock underneath just to give the tree a little bit more of a different angle. Perhaps you might be happy with something like this for the front. So for us, we don't need the rock. We're not going to go with that, but it's just an option that you can keep in mind in your mental toolbox of things to do when choosing your front. And now before we begin, the tools that we'll be using in this video today are some root cutters, branch cutters, knob cutters, twig cutters, some wire cutters, or you could use wire cutters like this. These are just electrician's wire cutters, and some gin pliers. And as always, by no means do you need all of these specialized bonsai tools. If you're just getting started in bonsai, you can get by with just a cheap pair of garden scissors or secateurs, just whatever you have at your disposal to get the job done. For sure, bonsai tools do make the job a lot easier. You just want to make sure that whatever tools that you do have are clean and sharp. Clean because we don't want to introduce any bacterial or fungal infections to our trees. So if you have a pair of tools and you've worked on infected trees before, just give them a little wipe with some hydrogen peroxide. That seems to do the trick for me. And sharp because a sharp pair of scissors will give you a cleaner cut. And in horticulture, clean cuts heal so much faster and and more efficiently than a blunt cut that was sort of squashed by a dull blade. So what Attila is doing here right now is just removing some of these large surface roots that's on the top of the soil. If these are allowed to grow any longer, they may thicken too much and begin to strangle the trunk of the tree. And also, by removing these, we're able to show off more of the trunk line of the tree. As you can see here, there's quite a thick one at the front also. And it also allows us to expose more of the nubari, also known as the surface roots. And this is really what gives the tree power and visual stability in the pot. It's completely fine to remove just this small amount of roots at this time of year, so long as we don't go too far down. And because it is the growing season, after pruning these off, the tree does have the rest of the growing season then to recover from this little small root cuts. Right now I am standing under this big old oak tree, and I find one of the best places to learn about how to create a natural looking bonsai is from nature itself. With deciduous trees, for example maple bonsai, observing these you do see they have this nice elegance to them. However, after looking at this oak and other oaks around this area in Wicklow Mountains, you can see a lot of the branches on the oak are gnarled and twisted looking, almost like they have been wired in all different directions. You can see how this branch has formed naturally. It almost looks like a giant has come in and wired the tree and give it this nice naturalistic look to it. All this contortion looks like it's been bent that way and then back. And this isn't even one example. If I go to the oak tree that's like right next door to that one, this just looks almost the same style. You got that coming out of the trunk, then it comes down and then up and down. So when you wire oaks, really don't be afraid to give them that twisty motion back and forward and up and down with the branches, because that's how they do it in nature. Even here in this area, I am seeing some oaks in which they have some deadwood features on them, almost like you would see on a juniper bonsai in the wild. Even with this great big oak here, you can see it's got all this deadwood. Half of the tree is actually rotting and dead, and then as this travels up, it's dead right the whole way to the apex. And then this half here, as you can see, it's callousing over, that's alive. So it's almost like a natural shari on the tree. If we wanted to, from this point, we could give this tree just sort of a hedge cut and give it just a trim all over, make the tree smaller, and then come in and refine the branches, just creating bifurcations where it goes from 1 to 2 all over and creating a nicer structure from there. But we're going to try and preserve as much of the foliage as we can. So we're going to start by just bending some of the branches, some of the main branches, and even the main trunk of the tree like Attila is doing here. This one maybe will come over this way, even with a bit more force. Instead of putting wire up this branch, because we need quite a thick, heavy piece of wire to be able to pull this down, instead what we're going to do is create a guy wire, which will take this part of the tree and pull it down, and we're going to anchor it to the box that the tree's in. And to protect the tree from the wire, Attila has got this piece of strap that we're just going to put over the bark. That way, whenever we tighten the wire, it's not going to damage the nice delicate bark of the tree. So now we're just twisting this down into the box. This is going to provide a nice anchor for us to create a guy wire into. This is just a metal hook. You can get these at any hardware store. You really don't want to be afraid to really drive it into the wood. You want this to be as stable as possible. That way the hold on the tree is the most secure it can be. So now it is time to apply the guy wire, and the wire that we have chosen for this one is some stainless steel garden wire. We have found just with aluminium wire it tends to snap and stretch, so it's just getting hooked here at the bottom, and we are just using the hook as an anchor for this wire to hold it in place. So whatever way you can find to twist it off at the bottom to hold it in place is fine. As you can see, that's now holding this branch down at that angle for us. And if you think that the angle isn't quite drastic as you like, you can then come in and tighten the wire to give it more bend, and you can really just tweak it to your liking. So to just tighten the wire, you can place a stick or a piece of wire in the middle of the wire and then simply twist it. A chopstick can also work, just whatever you have to tighten the wire. And this really lets you fine tune the branch. to get it at the desired height that you want. And as you tighten this wire, you may hear some cracking noises coming from the branch up here. That's a good sign that you should stop what you're doing, because you could end up stressing the branch too much. But for us right here, we're really happy with this bend. So just by bending this one branch, it has dramatically changed the overall look of the tree. Now we've got more width to this side of the tree, and we're going to do the exact same thing now to this main branch. There's that look. So now we're just experimenting with this back branch, what to do with it. Is it crossing the trunk line? What if it came forward?
If you just leave it as it is, we can go as the back branch.
So this is what's going on now inside the tree. It comes up and bends right over, and then it's tied down here with a sky wire. You can see here in the back of the trunk, there's just the smallest little crack happening. That's a good sign that we haven't done any damage to the tree. There isn't any massive tears, so this should recover.
So now we're going to start to prune the tree. So even you see that there's a lot of ramification from last year, and if you wish, you could just go back to here and like just, you know, make the cut here. Although we might need to use the whole length in an overall shape and design, so we go for a safer way. And you see, this is this year's growth. So everything what we see, we just go and clip it back to 2 buds all around the tree, and later we'll come back and we do any corrections if we will need to. We might just go back, you know, and shorten everything as much as possible, but let's have this approach now and let's do this for the whole entire tree.
When it comes to pruning deciduous trees and oak specifically, there is 2 main times of year in which you can prune it. Hard pruning is usually done in early spring, just before the new growth emerges. But you can also prune them just after the leaves have hardened off in early summer. That's one of the reasons we're pruning it here today. First of all, the tree needs a prune. It needs to be sort of taken under control again. And second of all, the leaves on this tree have hardened off. You can feel it. The leaves don't have that fleshy softness that they have in early spring as they push out new leaves, and that's a good indication it's okay to prune them. So now we've taken off the tips of most of the new growth from this year. Now we're going to get to wiring, and we're going to begin wiring on this half of the tree. We're going to wire these 2 branches on this side, position them downward and out, and then from there that could dictate what we do to the other side of the tree to get that nice overall triangular shape. There is one small problem branch at the front of this tree. It's sort of hiding that nice trunk line that we want to show off at the top. That's this one right here. So after some deliberation, we've decided to get rid of it. All right, and as you can see, it already shows off a lot more of the trunk line of the tree. You can see what's going on there. And then we have chosen this branch up here as the new leader to swing back that way. I just don't think the whole branch works because it's on the inside of a bend.
It's coming in.
It's coming in that way. You'll see it immediately. Yeah, oh, that's so much better. So now you got the negative space in there.
If you want to see it, it's not just really straight, like everything gets kind of like leaning down.
Yep. Yep, that matches. As we add wire to this tree, we're slowly realizing that we're going to have to adapt to a method of wiring and shaping at the same time, just to make it easier to wire some branches that's in our way. So in order to get access to other branches here and position them into a really nice position, we're going to shape as we wire and really try and compactify the tree. So as you can see now, the tree is quite wide in where the foliage sits from the distance of the trunk. What we're going to try and do now is try and push all that back without trimming the tree. Instead, we're going to wire it. So by giving some branches a bend, that will shrink the branch and get them closer to the trunk. So everything's going to sort of get closer. or down and then come up with it.
Yeah, just because you see
This trunk line.
the trunk line is a bit disturbed, and then it comes out again nicely.
That way. Back and then around. Like this maybe.
There you go. This branch is just feels way too straight, and it's really out. So the overall layout is like really wide, and it has all these like errors on it. So we're just going, bite the bullet.
Oh, that's it. That looks so much better. Like the overall shape.
Work with this. Can work without even really see. So it's like goes to 3. So let's take out the middle one.
When wiring in bonsai, we do what is known as the 2-branch principle, and this is simply wiring one branch to another so that each branch anchors the other in place. So I'm going to wire this branch to this one. So I'm just going to begin by sitting the wire along the branch I want to go around. Make sure there is enough wire on this side, and then I'm going to come around this branch like this. That's that one anchored nicely. Then I'm going to come around the trunk and over this other branch. And you want to make sure as you wire the branch, you can hold the wire with each coil. That way you're not putting too much stress on the branch as you go around. And then I'm going to do the same on this branch, just coiling around. Again, I'm holding it here with my thumb just to ensure the branch doesn't break. And then as I come to the edge of this branch, as you can see, this is this year's growth. This flesh is quite delicate, so if you wish to, you could just not wire beyond this point. Or what I'm going to do here is do what's known as an open coil, and that is just to pretend the branch is thicker than it is and make a loose coil around the branch. That way the wire is more guiding the branch in the direction of growth. So now once that's around there, you can see we can easily manipulate these branches. And just like we talked about in the Wicklow Mountains, oaks do have quite contorted branches, so don't be afraid to really give it lots of twisty bends like this. So we've effectively shortened that branch from being this long to here. You can even get it shorter by giving it even more bends, and it makes the tree look a lot more interesting. It is worth mentioning, it's quite important that whenever you position the branches of oaks, you do want the waxy side of the leaf to point upward. And this is so that the tree can really photosynthesize efficiently. As you can see, Attila is adjusting this one from being upside down to pointing up, because after we bent this branch over, it did put the leaves a little bit out of position. On the leaves of oaks and most deciduous trees, the top side is used for photosynthesis, and on the bottom side there's a thing what's known as the stomata or stoma. And this is how the trees breathe. So during a drought, oak trees tend to close up their stoma to try and preserve more moisture. But then if you got the sun beating down on that side, it's going to transpire a lot quicker. And even from that, the healthier tree could suffer. So whenever you wire and reposition the branches of a tree like this, you really want the foliage orientated in the correct direction. And there you guys have it. As you can see, this tree has now been wired and shaped, and we were really trying to give it all them twists and bends that you would see in the natural oak growing in the wild here in the mountains of County Wicklow in Ireland. As it is as a first styling, it looks okay, but in the next 5-10 years, I think this tree will look even better. It will start to get old bark on it. It'll be refined from that year after year, applying more wire to get the secondary branches more refined. But it's really just a starting point in which we can build ramification from year by year. And again, if you wish to and you had a piece of material like this, and even if you've styled it like this, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind and then coming in, doing a trunk chop further down on the tree. And on that, I'm going to end off this video right here. Big massive thanks to Attila again for having me here in his garden. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like on this video. It really helps out the channel a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And let us know down in the comments what you thought of our approach to this tree. Perhaps you would have done something differently, like just chop the trunk, or even something different again. I'm always open to new and different ideas in bonsai. If you would like to support me and the things that I do on this channel, hit the thanks button down below. Or if you'd like to become a channel member, hit the join button. That way you'll get early access to new videos before they go out to everyone else, and you'll get access to membership posts. And if you'd like to keep up to date with all the things that that I do off camera, please follow me on Instagram. It's at Notion Bonsai, and you can see all the things that I do on there. But on that, thank you so very much for watching.